Hey everybody, this is Kendall Connor coming to you here from thecreativepastor.com, and I want to show you a quick tutorial today for a quick tip that I believe that can really improve your production quality on Sunday mornings. It's simple and practical but really effective. I'm going to be demonstrating it in ProPresenter today. I actually think this is ProPresenter 4, which is I tend to prefer. But really, this will work in any kind of production software, MediaShout or EasyWorship, or whatever you were using. But the tip is to always come back to home base. And this is a tip and a strategy that I teach my media volunteers. And it's that, first off, that the screen should never be black. I'm a big fan of always having something that's displayed on the screen, unless you're trying to be really intentional about having a visual silent moment. But on the regular, I would say that a black screen, it kind of looks unfinished. It looks like you haven't done your work, maybe something that went wrong to the audience. And so I always tell our volunteers that when you don't have anything particular that you need to be displaying at that moment in the service, it's always good to come back to your logo. Display your church logo, and that can help to just always have that identity and branding in front of the congregation, but also just to give something to go up on the screen so that it doesn't look unfinished. I like to use our church logo for this. Of course, for this demonstration, I just put up the Creative Pastor logo. But whatever coming back to that home base of the church logo, rather than just going to a blank screen. It looks really good, and it makes everything look really polished and finished. So that could be at any time in your service when you don't have anything to display. Something else, kind of for to come back to home base, this tip is during a song. I like to tell our volunteers that the natural state of a song should not be lyrics being displayed. It should be having the background on the screen. I normally transition to the background as soon as the band starts playing the music to that song. And I leave it blank as often as possible. So, we may sing through, the first verse, and before we get to the chorus, or maybe after the chorus, there's an instrumental interlude, a time when there's not any singing, so there's no reason for there to be lyrics up. I don't like to leave the lyrics up if they're not singing them. I like to teach our people that that's a big no-no. If there's nothing being sung, don't have lyrics on the screen. Instead, go back to your plain background and let that kind of create that environment. Clear your slide. Let that be kind of setting the mood and the tone for your worship song. And it also just doesn't confuse people, because there's not just random words up on the screen when there's nothing to sing. So it can also, it can work for that. It also can work during your sermon. I always like to let the default, the home base, be the sermon title. And so you can see on here that the sermon title was "We Serve an Awesome God." This is what our pastor taught on this past Sunday. And say, for example, I go and display his first scripture. And after his first scripture is read, he decides that, he's going to tell a story or tell some quotes, or just start his message. He's not necessarily referring to anything that's on his PowerPoint. So I go back to home base, the title slide. So it kind of still puts the title before all the people, and it's not a blank screen. It sets the mood and sets the atmosphere for what he's speaking. In the event that he, when he gets to his first point, in this case was the miraculous sign. And so as soon as he hits that point, I put it up for him. And in that, for that point, there's normally a couple scriptures, maybe, some kind of sub-points. But if I go to a scripture and he's done with that scripture and he's, just talking about something else that has to do with the miraculous sign, I'll go back to the home base of that point. If for some reason, he kind of gets off of that point and it doesn't really make sense for that to be the background during that time in the sermon, I'll go all the way back to the first slide, the main home base for that sermon, the main title. So for these three examples, they all can work really great in your service. It gives a nice polished, clean look that is going to show your congregation that you're being really intentional and professional, and it adds a level of excellence that I believe just takes it to the next level and does wonders for your production value. So you can always go back to your home base of the logo. You can go back to the home base of the plain empty slide with the motion background, or just the still background of the song, setting that environment for that time of worship. Or you can go back to your title slide in your sermon. That's three ways that you can go back to home base and make a big difference in the production quality of your service. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions or other ideas of how you can use this tip, by all means leave it in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing kind of the response that you guys have for this. Appreciate you following the Creative Pastor, and yeah, just stick with us. More great things to come.